Terrorism activities are not new issues that happen in Southeast Asia. Terrorism defined as an illegal act committed by an individual or party using violence or force without the opponent's permission. It requires the use of firearms to intimidate or coerce a government or its citizens. Terrorists include kidnapping, fire and bombing activities that be done through the sea, air or land. Terrorism component often meets with criminal element around boundaries practiced by nationalistic group, religious group, revolutionaries and ruling government. Its common goal is to create chaos or shift a status quo within the nation and to develop a country based on the model that the particular group believes is correct. Certain activities or behavior can indicate terrorist planning, mainly when these activities occur at or near key facilities such as government, military utility or other high-profile sites or places where large number of people gather. This increasingly transnational dimension of terrorism play a critical role in shaping the rhetoric and threat in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia comprises of 11 countries with different religion, culture and history, which are Brunei, Myanmar, Cambodia, Timor-Leste, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. Among these 11 regions, Brunei Darussalam, Timor-Leste, Singapore and Cambodia have been fortunate because it has never experienced any terrorist attack. There are two types of terrorism that have been recognized by law enforcement, which is domestic and transnational terrorism. Domestic terrorism involves perpetrator and victim from the venue country wherein the attack ensures, usually with the intent to intimidate, coerce or influence national policy. In contrast, transnational terrorism involves two or more countries in terms of the victim, perpetrator or venue of the attack. It poses that greatest threat to our national security. International terrorism indicates that the growing number of terrorist groups will become more networked and even harder to identify and track. Here is one example of the successful attack happened in our country, which is Malaysia. The attack happened at Puchong, Malaysia, nondescript suburban bar. It was believed to have been a gang-related attack, but Malaysia's chief of police officers say that the attacker has been getting instruction from an Islamic State militant to attack an Islamic business. The terrorist attack have injured 8 people, including one woman from China.
Social factors can be explained on level of education. Mostly people who are able to further study is the people who have more money. It shows that government are not protected all the people in countries. The opportunities of further studies are given for them who have a stable financial only. The government did not support students who are from poor families even though they have ability to increase their education level. Next, religious extremism. Religion is the most popular factor that causing terrorism in Southeast Asia and all the world. It is because people have their own trust on their religion. As an example, Malaysia are major with Islam, so rules in Malaysia are basically in Islam. Another Malaysians like Chinese and Indian sometimes feel triggered with the rules. It can cause terrorism between Malay, Chinese and Indian people. Political instability can have serious consequences on country performance. They will broke the politics in the country. They do not have unity because they are not in the same lane. Most of them have their own opinions and trust. They are to choose anyone that can be a president. They are totally downgrade the power of president. The problems cannot settle because of weak government that not being able to handle them. People are stubborn to obey the rules, so people who are not satisfied with the government will always make problems and create terrorism cases among them. There also have unfair issues between people and government. The government failed to provide basic standard of life such as hospital and medical jobs. In the country, there are not all areas have the convenience. People are become angry when a government are not make standardized for all his people. It may cause racism issues. Economic factors currently related with political issues. As we can see, all the countries in Southeast Asia have homeless population and group of rich people. There are different standards among them. It is because government are failed to stabilize their economy fairly. It infuriates all the people. Basically, the government choose their people that can give benefits to them, such as the rich people. It is because they can contribute benefit on economy like investing in business on our own country and abroad. The investment will make the growth of economy increase moderately. Unfortunately, people who cannot afford the economy will be ignored. The government do not have enough budget to help them. There will be their loss in economy. All the countries are popular with GI&I index, that is indicator of poor economic quality of a country. Then the economic sanction can decrease the economy in country. If terrorism happen, the country cannot expand their business to other country because do not have trust between another countries. They are also having a problem such as bankruptcy.
Short-term impact. First and foremost, other than the destruction of physical assets, the businesses and households' confidence to the country decreases, especially in the countries where these attacks directly have an impact towards them. When economic security and businesses' confidence towards the country decreases, their worth in the market also decreases, either a small bit or a huge amount, depending on their actions and capabilities to encounter the terrorist attacks and deal with the aftermath itself. Then, portions of the financial infrastructure of the country affected by the attack are either destroyed or disabled. This will cause a severe domestic and international reverberations. It may cause the financial markets to shut down and remain closed for a period of time. Thus, the country or state will have to make a countermeasure by providing a large temporary liquidity injection to safeguard the state financial system. Furthermore, monetary policies of the affected countries are eased aggressively to help counter the economic issue experienced by the countries. Central banks all around the world will have to lower their interest rates substantially for a few weeks after the terrorist attacks to provide time and space for rebuilding of the financial state of the countries for financial stability. Mid-term impact. After that, for the mid-term effect or long-lasting impact, the insurance coverage, especially for the terrorism-related activities, is harder to obtain and the insurance premiums will increase considerably. As time goes on, if the terrorist attack persists and occurs more, the obtainability of the insurance coverage will be slim to none and the premium for the slim chance insurance coverage will be going through the roof. Then there will be pressure for the country to tighten the security at the borders and for better screening on the flow of merchandise entering the country, which will increase the cost of transporting goods either by land, sea or air. Various charges and costs such as higher security-related costs, escort obligations and water charges will be applied to the situation. Social, physical, individual effect. Physical consequences of the act of terrorism result in visible underlying pain such as broken bones, disability, soft tissue injuries, and sensory disturbance which resulted in someone losing one of the senses such as sense of smell and taste. They also may experience somatic symptoms including headaches and back pain, whereas if sexual violence is included, some may also come in contact with sexually transmitted diseases such as HIV. For the psychological impact for the individual, the psychological effect of terrorism on individuals are they affect one's sense of self, causing them to have identity disorientation, and some may also have shattered core beliefs which can be devastating and despairing to them. Then these victims as individuals must have experienced various things such as shock, anxiety, fear, shame, guilt, anger, resentment, helplessness, and sense of disempowerment. With all of those feelings due to the being in a situation which is dangerous, threatening, and powerless. The physical effect towards people as a society is that it increases dead body count. Terrorism and armed conflict brought use of weaponry towards innocent people which causes death, if not only injuries and bruises. This is only which will increase patients needing treatment in hospitals and all around the country and brought forth other countless effects. Last but not least, the psychological effects towards the society. As a collective or a society of people undergone harsh environment and obstacles of terrorism, they would suffer from trauma as a collective. All of them will experience trauma. It will cause a sense of group identity and heightened allegiance, producing collective solidarity or solidarity as a group, identity and mutual support among them. However, with the trauma, the collective will experience varying forms of community dysfunction such as generalized insecurity and the rupture of the social net.
Okay, so let's move to the suggestion or recommendation to encounter the terrorism that happened, especially in Southeast Asia country. So let's take a look. The first one is different approach by the Southeast Asia country to encounter issue of terrorism with ASEAN's existence. It can be seen when it had already mentioned by Southeast Asia government that terrorism will not be handled in the same way by every country involved. For example, Indonesia and Singapore agreed to choose a non-militaristic and law enforcement approach in tackling challenges, whereas Malaysia and Thailand are more to coercive and militaristic response. Next, ASEAN helped to create a new strategy on counter-terrorism in Southeast Asia. It should be the effort of every country in Southeast Asia to enhance the protection and security that can become the soft target by the terrorists. For example, the improvement on security can be focused on passport or travel documents that should be observed clearly by the government in Southeast Asia country, as the effort at every level needs to be enhanced.
As a conclusion, we can see that terrorism development at an international level have made an impact in Southeast Asia. This terrorism issues is spreading to an increasingly serious international level. Terrorist insurgency in all of their form and dimensions pose the most serious military dangers to the international community. This activity has existed in Southeast Asia since time immemorial and is seen not to decrease, but has become more widespread in recent years. Terrorist group growth and intensity in Southeast Asia are closely connected to many factors which stem to a country defense system weakness, covering social, political, and economic factors. Issues such as political, economic instability, and social differences are all seen as tumor on a country defense system. Failure to prevent and control these issues may lead to bring a space for terrorists in expanding their activities. It could establish a country as a base for conduct activities for an intended period of time. However, if could have a solid and strong in terms of defense system, all of these factors can function well as a country defense system against international terrorist terror. Last but not least, all parties should be responsible in mitigating this issue in order to have a peaceful world. There is no denying that this issue may certainly disappear immediately, but with a little step and effort include cooperation between countries may become the mainstay of national peace. The comprehensive plan need to to be carried out immediately on counter-terrorism. It should be noted that terrorism is not a small kind of issue, so that continuous effort is needed and essential for all to counter this issue. Failure to do so may lead to a serious problem.